Hey listeners, Dan Harris here, host of the 10% Happier podcast. Imagine all your audio entertainment available in just one place. That's what the Audible app is all about. With Audible, you can always find the best of what you love or discover something new. Audible has an incredible selection of wellness titles and originals like The Light Podcast by Michelle Obama, Work It Out by Mel Robbins, and Confidence Gap by Russ Harris. Membership includes access to Audible Originals, podcasts, and tons of audiobooks that you can download or stream as much as you want. And as an Audible member, you can choose one title per month from an ever-growing catalog of titles to keep. The Audible app makes it easy to listen anytime, anywhere, whether you're traveling, working out, doing chores, wherever your day takes you. New members can try Audible now free for 30 days. Visit audible.com/Harris or text Harris to 500-500.
The weather is cooling down a bit. The leaves are starting to fall. Yes, it's that time of year again, football season. And we all know the best part of any game day traditions are the ones that involve food. There's nothing like having everyone in your game day crew coming together to bring their best bites and argue over whose family makes the best chili. And while there's no need to mess with the perfection of game day classics, like a freshly grilled Oscar Mayer hot dog topped with Heinz ketchup and mustard, it's always fun to step out of your comfort zone and get creative with your recipes. Because there's nothing more fun than adding to your list of game day traditions, like making a creamy and delectable queso dip with Velveeta cheese that can be eaten with so much more than just chips. Now is the chance for people across the nation to find out whose game day eats reign supreme. It's your turn to show off your tasty game day food traditions. Go to www.gamedayfoodtraditions.com to share a photo of your game day food tradition to enter to win $10,000. Once again, that's www.gamedayfoodtraditions.com to enter to win $10,000.
This is Full Change with Tom Laidlaw.
Hey, we got an excellent show today, Tom. We have one of your former teammates, former first-round draft pick, 2 stints with the Rangers, a Stanley Cup with the Canadiens. We have Lucien Deblois on the show.
Lucien Deblois, one of those good guys, when you come in like some of the older guys. Good to see you again, brother. Sorry.
Good to see you, Tom.
So when you come in as a pro, where you're a rookie, and you're you're really looking for advice. And Lucien was one of those guys that was a veteran player. Really helped out all the young guys too. Great teammate. So good hockey player too, man. You're pretty good.
Oh, thank you. I guess being a first pick, I must have had something, but maybe it didn't translate in the record book. But I thought I was a decent player. Yeah.
Well, I think what I'm really impressed by you, like that business-like approach, the two-way player. Right. I mean, it wasn't just goal scorer for you. You were also a good, like, penalty killer.
It's always been my part of my game is the two-way player. I was a good defensive player, even in junior, where I scored a lot of goals, but I didn't score as many goals as Mike Bossy, these guys. But I was always part of the defensive type of game that I played, and I'm proud of that. I was not probably the high-scoring forward that they anticipated that I was going to be, but I turned out decent. I played 15 years and played a good 2-way game. So
that's a good career.
Great career. But did you feel any pressure? You and Duguay were both drafted before Bossy that year. Did you guys feel pressure when Bossy was lighting it up for the Islanders?
It was it's always been a pressure with me and Mike, and with Dukes, Dukes and I probably, but because we were both ahead of Bossy, and early in the season, it was not so bad because Mike didn't score. Mike was such an incredible talent. Like he was misunderstood in his draft year because of those days there was a lot of toughness in juniors, and there was the Broad Street Bullies years and all that, and he got maybe the short stick of his talent because he didn't score. In his junior years, I think in four years of junior, he didn't score less than 70 goals every year.
I didn't know that.
So it was like just amazing that he get slipped away that long. That was the day. That was the day of hockey was really hard, but then he starts scoring. We feel a little bit of pressure from Mike, especially the Islanders were an up and coming teams, and they obviously they started winning 4 cups in a row in the 80s or whatever. So But it was part of it because I always had the pressure of playing against Mike all through my junior years.
And here's one of those guys too, like Rick Middleton, where you watch him play, he's lucky out there, right? But then he does it all the time, so it's not luck, it's skill. But it's just first see him, he's really
well. If he was in New York, they had him in New York, and then they traded him to Boston, and he was such a great player. And I had heard many stories about Rick, about most of his goals. The puck never ended up at the end of never touched the net, just barely past the goal line. But he scored 50 and 60 a few years in a row. So
funny with those
guys have knacks, they have that knack of scoring goals where you can't teach that. I mean, it's just it's just
like I mean, this is a compliment. I mean, this is a compliment to you too. If you put Mike Bossy beside you and you two guys are skating down the ice, carrying the puck, I would say you're the guy that's going to score more goals. But he just had that way about him. It's like I remember the one playoff year in '84 where we lost to Kenny Morrow scored the game-winning goal in overtime. Bossy scored. I was on him, and I knew what I was doing. The puck came to me, and I said, "I'm not going to hold on to it. I got to move it right away." So because he's right there beside me. I go to move it, hits him in the foot, and he goes off on a breakaway and scores. And I think, well, I still would do the same thing again. It's just he had, like you said, he had that knack to be able to put the puck.
Yeah, Mike is an exceptional player. I mean, he's the only player that scored 50 goals in all his 10 years in the NHL. I mean, it's just amazing. Yeah. Nobody has done that, even Gretzky or whatever. He was a good friend of mine as we grew after our career and all that. Then we saw each other when he was working for TVA Sports here in Montreal. He was like a sports commentator for the Canadiens and all that. And great guy, great person. And it's so bad that we lost him. And it's already there the year that he passed away and all that. So it's just amazing.
So you were born and raised in Montreal?
No, I was born and raised in Joliette, which is a small town northeast of Montreal, about maybe 45 miles on north side of Montreal. Just a small community, about 25,000. Actually, I was born in St. Thomas of Joliette, which is a farm. It was a farm community and all that, just a few miles away. And born on a dairy farm, and I stayed on the dairy farm till I was about 8 years old, and then we moved to the city, and that's where I started playing hockey there in the city.
So I
played the hockey on the pound a little bit with my brothers and all that, but not organized hockey. I started playing hockey. Organized hockey, I was 9 years old.
Oh wow, I didn't know that. Right, most guys in Canada 6 or 7 years old, right? So,
but three brothers older than me and a sister older than me, and we all skated, and we started skating early and all that. We played a lot of sports. My brother played football, baseball, and it was the three sports then: baseball, football, basketball. My brother were in private school and all that, so they went to play all kind of sports. And I was the youngest of the family, so I just followed the footsteps of the three brothers ahead of me.
Were you a good goal scorer when you were a kid?
I was pretty good. I ended up being, I was the oldest, the youngest, playing in each category all the time. But I was always the top scorer of the league and all that, or scoring in the most goal and all that. And I was playing center at the time, and in the natural center, and I was just scoring a lot of goals. I played junior B. I was 14 years old. Started playing junior B hockey, which was guys that were coming at 19 years old playing against me, and played a few games with my brother, who was 5 years older than me, and then the year after, at 15 years old, I was already playing junior B full time. I went to a training camp in Drummondville, which is the Quebec in the Q, and actually Neil Smith was in camp there. I played with Neil in '72. Neil was there playing for the Drummondville, and I ended up. There's one thing that I couldn't speak to him because I couldn't speak English or word. But we talked about that after that. Then
Lucien, sorry to interrupt you there, but just so people understand, like at 15 years old, we played junior hockey, and it was pretty rough and tumble back then too, right?
So you're freshman with the big bad Bruins and the Flyers. So imagine
And you're playing against 19-year-olds out there too,
Men, grown men.
Wow.
Yeah, so I went back to junior B, and I ended up playing with the team and then being played like 15 games on defense because our captain broke his foot and all that. And I finished second scorer in the team and scored 45 goals that year as a center and playing probably 50 some games or whatever. So and I got drafted junior in Sorel, and I went to Sorel and played my 4 years junior in Sorel, which first year was unbelievable because I played with Pierre Larouche and Pierre Mouvement. And Pepe Larouche was like he was like unbelievable. That's the year he beat Guy Lafleur's record for the most points, 252 points. That I was let's just say that as a 16 years old, I didn't see too many power play.
Yeah, that's amazing. Some Pierre Mondu, Pierre Larouche, and you, and Mike Bossy.
Yeah.
So then you got drafted as an 18-year-old into the NHL?
No, that in those days, actually, there's a story in the 73, 74 summers, the draft of summer of 74. The NHL drafted all the underage guys. They drafted, Brian Trotty, Pierre Larouche got drafted in Pittsburgh. There was like Wolf Paymont got drafted. All the 18 years old. Mario Tremblay in Montreal and Wolf Paymont, and there's a bunch of guys in the Ontario and the West Turn League that got drafted as an 18-year-old.
So people understand the CHL is the three major junior leagues: the Quebec League, the Ontario League, and the Western League. And they made an agreement with the NHL that so there's different rules when you're drafted. If you're drafted in college, you can come out at any time. In junior, if you're not going to go to the NHL, they can't send you to the minors. You have to go back.
That's right. You have to go back to junior. Except there's an exception now just for the guys that have played 5 years juniors, which they're the exceptional players. Like Connor, but this year he played as 15 years old in junior out west. If they wouldn't be able to send him this year, but next year they would be able to send him to the American League if they wanted to at 19 years old, because that would be already 4 years that he played junior.
Lucien, you were also a first-round pick of the Quebec Nordiques in the WHA. Was there any thought to staying in the province and playing there, or did you want to go to the NHL?
There was some discussion a little bit but my agent at the time was not a very particular fond of the WHA, and especially the Nords at the time for whatever reason. I think they had he had some beef or whatever, so he never really negotiated with the Nords. But I talked to their GM and talked to their they were really they wanted me to go and sign with them. Actually, they won. I think they won the Avco Cup that year in 77 or 78, the spring of 78. I think that's the year they won the championship in the World Hockey Association. But that was limited to that. And then when the Rangers offered me the contract and all that, so that's where we just jumped at the opportunity. Actually, I signed my contract with Fergie and Jean-Guy Talbot in Quebec City. Actually, there was a tournament for the league, and they were there. They were present, and they signed.
And they got the Shea shows there too, the best hot dogs in the world, right there.
Well, that was the golf tournament. There was no Shea show there. Yeah, they were good at the Coliseum. You remember that? Man, it was the best pregame meal we ever had.
Yeah, and we'd run to get the trainer to run up by at the end of the game there to grab some hot dogs before we got the bus. Yeah. So what was your first year in the National Hockey League?
What was my first year?
Yes, your first year. What year was that?
77. Fall of 77. I came in with the Rangers. Training camp was we were in Long Beach, Long Island at that time.
Yeah.
We with Phil Esposito, Carl Van and Walter Kachuk, Steve Vickers, Eddie Key, Mike McEwen, Dave Maloney was there, Gresh.
Yeah.
John Davidson, Doug Sotart, there was Rod Gilbert, actually. Rod was there.
Donnie Murdoch, he was there too, right?
Donnie was there. Donnie was the year he, I don't want to get back into it. That's the year he got caught, but he got suspended the year after.
Oh,
because he didn't go to court yet. So he played the whole year, but he got suspended the year after. But I came in there like I was 20 years old. Couldn't speak too much English. The good thing, Jean-Guy Talbot was a coach, so he was French, obviously, so that helped me a little bit. But training camp, I remember we had a rookie camp here in Montreal. Actually, Delaware Armo were here in Montreal. Fergie was fond of Montreal, so we had a rookie camp that year. And my first roommate ever was Mike Eruzione.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So me and Mike could speak quite a bit, but I didn't speak English that well. So I kind of learned a little bit with him, and we were with him. All Stewart was there, and Dukes and all that. I mean, we're a bunch of guys that were there.
Montreal too. Wow.
Mario Marwa, and all the Mario was there also. Yeah. So we were all got drafted. As we had a first training camp, the rookie camp here, and then we moved back to New York, obviously to Long Island, and that was pretty a little big of a culture shock for me in New York. I went during the summer for a press conference with Dukes, all the guys that they assigned during the summer, Mike Keaton, Dukes, I can remember him, Benoit Gosselin and Mario Marwa. We were all in for a press conference, and so we went to see the Mets played one night, and the next day we got the press conference, and we had tickets to go and see Fleetwood Mac at the Madison Square Garden. That was my first big concert, so I remember that. That's cool. For the press conference.
Dukes take you to Studio 54 afterwards?
No, well, Dukes was not. He didn't know all those places yet. Right. we find them that was pretty soon after we got there, a few months into the season.
But that's the guy. Like, imagine knowing Duke before he knew all about Studio 54 today, right? He's a whole different. He's a little farm boy from Sudbury. Well, not a farm boy necessarily, but yeah.
No, he was great. He came in like everybody, his look, he had the long hair, curly hair, blondish. He was kind of blonde when he came in, and he was a great guy. We were roommates my first year for the most part of the year, and he's speaking French too. Like, a lot of people don't know that, but Ron was brought up in French in Sudbury. There's a big community of French people there. And he went to French school until high school, I guess. So he speaks and really fluent in French. And so we worked up really well together. And we played on the same line with Pat Hickey. So we had a great first year. We both scored 20 goals. And we ended up, we didn't score 50 like Mike Bossy, but we both had 50 goals. The Rangers made the playoff for first time in I don't know how many years, and so it ended up Dukes was playing center, and I played with the right wing with Pat Hickey on the left side, and Patty had 35 goals a year. So that was really impressive. But when I came into camp, I didn't speak English, and Carol was there, and all that. Carol had to help me out, and so was Rod Gilbert. So Rod was really instrumental for me. And unfortunately, he retired in early or mid-November. Because I don't know, for whenever I thought he could play still, but he retired. He was not happy with his ice time and whatever, and he ended up retired. He was 38 or 39 years old, I guess. Right. So,
right. How about Pat Hickey on the bench? Was he talking all the time? Because he talks all the time now. you asked him.
Actually, it was the opposite. He was not with his deep voice or this, he was not talking too much. But when a player, like, he scored many goals, and he was a great skater, hard worker, and all that. And loved Patty, and so it was that was great. Gresh and all that. JD. So I ended up starting the first few months. I didn't speak too much. I was listening a lot, and then that's I finally got a little better at the language, and then start getting on my own a little bit.
Sure. So then you go to the finals of '79 with the Rangers. That had a real close team to it. You guys talk about it all the time. Bunch of young guys hanging together, really tight. So playing against Montreal in the finals too, being a kid from Quebec, that'd be pretty exciting. Right?
It was unbelievable. I mean, the press and the family and everything coming in over and winning the first game in the Forum. Then we won, I think, 5-2, and we were on our way. The funny thing on this is like the turning point is like Ken Dryden didn't have a really good series prior to that, and the second game this season, second game of the playoffs, we were playing at the Forum. Obviously, they played they finished ahead of us, so we played at the Forum, and Scotty Bowman wanted to start Bunny Larocque, Michel Larocque, as the backup goalie for the second game, and he was taking a warm up, and Doug Riseborough hit him right in the forehead with a slap shot. He hit him right in the slap shot right in the forehead, and he couldn't play. He got a concussion or whatever. He couldn't play, so they put Dryden in the net, and we scored the first. I think we scored the first on the first shot, and I think we led 2-0 after like the first period or whatever. And then something came over. I don't know. The big guys, their big guys took over, and it just we didn't touch the puck too much after that. But we had many injuries, and that didn't help us. No excuses, but Ulf Nilsson broke his leg just before the playoffs, and JD hurt his knee against the Islanders. That really, he was really struggling with his knee when he was getting down. He couldn't get up or whatever, and he was not easy to come. Getting up was not easy for him with this size.
He's a big man. He's a big man.
But we had a great run. Like Gresham, unbelievable during the series. Everybody was.
That's gonna be one of those moments too. Like I remember going to the Montreal for the first time, right? All the banners are up there, and Guy Lafleur flying around, and Larry Robinson and Bob Gainey. So for you to be from there, like to play in the playoffs, the finals against Montreal,
they say that the team that we played, I think they had 10 guys. And if I'm not mistaken, I think they have 10 guys that made the Hall of Fame.
I'm with you that list. Yeah, through that list one time. Yeah, that's cool.
It's unbelievable when you think about that. And then, but for me, growing up in Montreal, and obviously idolizing the Montreal Canadien was my team ever since I grew up. And there was only one team then.
If you jump ahead, then you actually signed with the Canadiens in '84, and then you win the Cup in Montreal.
Yeah, well, I got traded after that. But that's I got traded to Montreal from Winnipeg in '84. Yeah. But that was a few years after. So but just playing the game like in the Forum was just amazing, and we had. Montreal was such a great team. Pierre LaRouche hardly played. I mean, they were so deep in center that Pierre didn't play that many games against us, I guess, because they had Lemaire, Mondu. They had so many guys. It's unbelievable.
Right. So then the next year you get traded, right?
Yeah, we started the year in 79, 80, and I guess it was early November. We I had a decent start. I mean, I had we went to LA, and then we flew to LA from LA to Colorado, and then mid-November, and all of a sudden the plane landed, and the whole three guys on the plane.
I didn't realize it was that way.
Mike McEwen, Pat Akey, and myself, and they asked us to stay in the plane, so we stayed in the plane. The guys all came out. Obviously, we knew something was coming up and everything. So Freddie Shero came to us and he says, guys, you just got traded. And you got traded here in Colorado, and we're afraid. We wanted to tell you before you come off the plane because we were afraid that there were some TV people or press waiting for us. So instead of learning from the press, we want to tell you we got traded for Barry Beck. So give us a handshake. Good luck. We'll see you tomorrow. We'll play tomorrow night against you.
That's rare. That doesn't happen very often that you're in the city when you get traded to them. Yeah?
But you didn't see it coming, right? No, did anyone see it coming?
We knew something was coming up, but we didn't know which player were involved. We're going to be involved whenever. So that was a shock especially for me. I never got traded before. Obviously, that was something that I should have known coming because I got traded many times after. But Mike McEwen had a great season. I guess he scored 15 or 16 goals the year before. He was a great player in the playoffs. Paddock, he was great. He was playing with the Swede, Bergen Nilsson. We anticipated there will be a trade, but we didn't know which player would be picked or whatever. So
it's funny. We've talked to other players about this when you get traded. Like when other guys get traded on the team, you kind of move on. You know it's a big deal. You guys have to move to a different city and everything. But when you get traded, it's a whole different story, right? It's like everybody just takes off. Like in your case, okay, you took on, now you're playing against them the next night.
Yeah, and the next day we just went out and stayed right by the McNichol Arena. There was I think it was a Holiday Inn and all that. So we all look in and we all met, the three of us. We went in the room, and then we were all looking. So, and we had to talk to a whole bunch of reporters. And all that. Right. We met. We met Ray Miron, who was a GM, and Don Cherry was a coach. And he came over and say hi to us in the lobby. And then we went for the pregame skate the next day, and that's how it started. I mean, it was like a fire rolling and all that. We didn't really. So we went to see Graves. Graves was great. Though he really helped us.
Graves is Don Cherry. For people don't know him, right?
Yeah, Don Cherry was good. Yeah, Don Cherry. Yeah.
He was like also Braves up in Canada.
Yeah. He was really. He helped me out in my career a lot. And but he was not so kind with Mike McEwen. And actually, it turned out great for Mike because he got traded before the end of the year, and got traded to the Islanders and won the Fourth Cup with them.
Yeah, that's right. But Mike McEwen was a great guy, but he kind of had that kind of goofy way about him, right? But he's a good guy.
He was like we used to call him Spaceman a little bit. Like he was a little bit but that was Mike. I've been his roommate many times, and I loved Mike. He was great. I never had any problem with him. It's just people thought he was a little bit different and a little spacey, but he was. But you had to accept what he was. Great player, great skater, great shot.
How's that first game against the Rangers? Is that bizarre when you're playing your teammates now the next night?
All right. It was as bizarre as you can. I think it would be the Rangers to Colorado. They didn't win too many games that year, but it would be the Rangers. And it was bizarre also for Bubba. Barry playing against his old team at home. He was the captain of the team. I think he was like a big rock. And I don't think he was captain, but he was an assistant. And he was the main player. But they had Rob Ramage, who they just drafted Rob Ramage as an 18 years old, and he was coming in the league, and they had quite a bit of good defensemen. I guess they thought they want, and the Rangers wanted that big tough defenseman to go against Philly and Boston and whatever, and our division was where the Rangers were. It was a tough division against the Islanders and Philly actually, and Washington was up and coming too a little bit. It was bizarre. I mean, playing against Gresham and my friend Carol Van Dam, he was. I mentioned Carol a lot, but Carol was such a good friend, such a mentor for me. I missed him so much since he passed. That's almost 10 years now, so it's unbelievable. But it was hard playing that first game. You don't know if you feel like you're in the cloud or whatever. You say, what the heck's going on here?
Well, like I don't know if people realize what a big deal that is, right? For the team to go to the finals like you guys did, you young guys, really close, tight. And then to have that trade of that magnitude, right? Like 3 guys off the start. It was 5 players in total, right? Like
it was 5 players, but there was a minor league guy. His name was Bobby Crawford.
That's right.
Oh yeah, and he turned small Bobby Crawford, not the Crawford from the Crawford family, which had played like NHL. It was an American kid, Bobby Crawford, played for Team USA, I guess, before.
Wow. Okay.
And the other one, Dean Turner.
He had a bigger head than I do. Wow.
Yeah. They couldn't find a bucket. They had to think they had to think of a garbage pail. They made a helmet out of it because that's a big square head and all that. He was a big rugged defense. Dean was a good guy. Actually, everybody thought it was the 6th player in the deal, but actually Bobby Sheehan got traded the next day to Colorado for Dennis Archer. And but everybody thought it was 6-4-1, but it was not 6-4-1. It was 5 guys, but Dean Turner and Bobby Crawford were like more like minor league players that were thrown in the deal, but they were not like on the team.
Right. So how many years did you play in Colorado?
2 years. I finished my contract, and I played with Don Cherry the first year, and the second year Bobby McMillan was the coach and GM, and played 2 years. I scored like 27, 28, 29 goals, I guess, the next day, and they offered me they offered me the same contract. They would give me a cent more or whatever. So I turned out to be a free agent with compensation at the time. It was like we were like we had no place to go. So I ended up being so I turned off I turned down the offer that they sent me. I guess they didn't like it, and they traded me. I got traded they traded my rights to Winnipeg, which was Fergie, who was with the Jets then. And Fergie had me, drafted me, actually. He was the GM with the Rangers when we got drafted. So I get traded to Winnipeg for a third-round pick and Brent Ashton.
Oh, suitcase.
First time that Brent got traded for me. So I wasn't know that because we all got traded so many times after.
Like he got traded like 10 or 11 times. So
he got traded 6-7 times. And
not a good player too, though.
He was a great player, big guy, could skate. Right. I don't know why he got traded so many times.
So at the NHL, you get traded all that time. You're called Suitcase. That's the automatic nickname.
Yeah. Actually, it's funny because in those days you couldn't do. I was free agent. I was not signed. And Scotty Bowman called me because Scotty was in Buffalo then. So he called me in. He was the draft was in Montreal, so he called me in during the draft or whatever. He says, "I gotta see you. Come to my suite in Montreal." So I go to the Queen Elizabeth suite, and then I go to see Scotty, and say, "You're a free agent. We want you. I want you in Buffalo. I will play you with Gilbert Perreault." Played with Gilbert Perreault and Ricky Martin. I need a right winger. I need a guy like you and all. I don't know. So, but he says, "You got to tell Fergie that you don't want to sign there, so he'll have to trade you." So I said, "Okay." So I said, "Can you make the trade before? Can you make the trade? And then I'll sign with you or whatever." So, but anyway, so. And I ended up Fergie signing me, and I ended up 3 years in Winnipeg, and had the chance to play with Dale Auerchuk, was a great player coming in. He was rookie of the year the first year, and we had a bunch of young kids, and Doug Sotart was already there. Actually, Dougie and I, that's the guy I played with the most in the NHL. We played for 3 different teams together, and we followed each other all the time.
So the Rangers, Winnipeg, and Montreal, is that the 3 teams together?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Nice, Tom.
Thanks.
Oh. Yeah. So we ended up over there, and then Serge Savard came in around Christmas. He came out of retirement, played a year and a half with us, and I ended up having some really good years as a two-way player. Obviously, scoring 27, 28, and 30 goals, 34 my last year with Winnipeg. And I was a team captain for 2 years. I took over Dave Christian as a captain because he got hurt early in the season, the second year. Mm-hmm. So I took, they gave me the C, and then I ended up being a captain for 2 years with the Jets, and I had my best year and all that. I loved it there, and I didn't want to get traded, actually. My contract was up. Fergie was didn't want to, in those days. So he asked for $5,000. They give you a $5,000 raise, and you scored 35 goals. And now they give you the $5 million raise. So
totally.
Over there, if you say no to a $5,000 raise, they look at you like you're a thief or whatever.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
So I ended up, he ended up talking to Serge, and I played with Serge. So they made a deal. I got traded to the Canadiens in June 14 for Perry Turnbull, Percy. Big Perry Turnbull, 1-for-1, and I loved it in Montreal. It was great, coming in home and everything, and that's ended up winning a Stanley Cup, which is the best thing that ever happened to me. And,
that was the 86 team? Is that 86?
And they beat your Rangers.
That's the year Patrick Roy came in as a rookie. He stayed over in my place, and he stayed with us for 2 years, and he ended up, being the biggest reason, not the only reason, one of the biggest reasons why we won the Cup.
Who did you guys beat in '86 in the semifinals to get to the Cup? Who was that?
I think we beat the Rangers.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
You remember that series? It was unbelievable.
That was good. That was too good.
The game in overtime in New York was one of the unbelievable games that I ever seen. I mean, how many posts did you guys hit?
That was good hockey. Yeah, it was two good teams. Yeah. So how many years did you have in Montreal? How many years did you play there?
2 years after I became free agent, and then Phil called me in and called my agent and all that. And then you guys, you had a really good year too. You had a good year before, and then that year also was really good. And I ended up with the Rangers. And, I signed. I must have signed, I guess, just at the end of August or something like that.
Right.
I signed a 3-year deal, so it was perfect for me.
Is that where you finished your career?
No, I went back to that. I moved around quite a bit after that.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
I always remember every year, the trade deadline, he kept saying, oof. Yeah, after 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, oof, fool them again. Fool them again one more year.
It's nobody else.
The last time you came up and they say you were too late, they traded you to LA.
Yep, exactly. You remember that day, right? Oh, God.
I said, fool them again. All of a sudden, the ticket tape came in late, and then they came in and say it was like an hour after the trade. Let's say, by the way, Tom, you're going to LA.
I know. That's funny. You remember that? That's cool. Because we had Trader Phil, Phil Esposito was our GM, and he earned the term Trader Phil. So we just, normally I wouldn't hang around on draft day. On trade day, I just go home thinking I'm not going to get traded. And this time I thought, something could happen. So he stayed at the rink till 3 o'clock when the deadline was, and left at 3 thinking, well, it's not.
Yeah, I'm good. I made it home.
Yeah,
I'm good.
Got home, my wife at the time, prying at the door. Oh, God. And how funny it is too. I don't know about you. That was the only time I got traded. So the ego kicks in, and you want to know that you get traded for a good player. And Marcel Down I got traded for, was a real good player. It's just that he was like 70 years old by that. It's like,
you got traded for Marcel and who else?
Bobby Carpenter and myself for Marcel Dion. And I think there was a minor league player involved.
But a 37-year-old Marcel Dion.
Yeah, 37
at the end of his career.
Yeah. I don't know how you were. Were you like that too? Like you wanted, like, who do you get traded for? Like you remember Perry Turnbull and all that?
Yeah, I mean, I remember when I got traded with Serge, because I knew Serge quite a bit. When he called me at home to tell me that he's the first one to call me before Fergie called me. And he called me, says, Shane, I said, you just got traded to Montreal. I said, for who? He says, Perry Turnbull. I said, just Perry Turnbull?
No.
Holy Perry. 1.1.
Basically, that's one of the first things to think about when you get traded. I mean, there's all the stuff that happens.
It hurts our feelings if
totally. Yeah, totally. So you end up then you got moved around. Where was the last team you played for?
Actually, I moved 3 times after the Rangers.
Yeah,
after you left, Marcel came in, finished the year. Then the year after, it was Michel Bergeron was a coach, right?
Oh, that's right.
Guy Lafleur came in, 89. Guy Lafleur came in out of retirement and played with Marcel and all that. And then that's the year Phil fired, Trigger Phil fired Michel Bergeron on April Fool's Day in Pittsburgh.
Right.
We couldn't believe it. He walked in the room, Bergeron like, oh, hey guys, I just got fired. He was crying and all that. Everybody's going, hey, come on, Bergie, stop getting around. We got a big game tonight and everything. And he got fired that day. Anyway, to make a long story short, the end of the year, that was the end of my contract. Phil got fired. Bergeron went to Quebec. We went back to Quebec so there's nobody there. So I should have been very patient. I should have been a little patient because I love New York. And you've been to my house. We were in Rye. I had a great little house on Park Avenue near the golf course and everything. My kids were in elementary school and everything was fine. I loved it there. But the year before I was on the waivers before the season, and then I could have get picked up by another team or whatever. So that was my last year. So I didn't know what their plans were or whatever. So I ended up signing too early with Quebec. I went back. I followed Bergeron and Guy Lafleur in Quebec. I kept saying I played with Guy Lafleur with three different teams. And that was a trivia question. I said, who's the only player who played with Guy Lafleur in three different teams? I said, I raised my hand. I said, yeah, he followed me everywhere I go.
That's it.
But that's where Neil came in. Neil Smith came in, and he hired Roger Nielsen as a coach. Like a couple of weeks after, a week or maybe after I signed, but I had no idea. If I had been a little bit patient, I would have stayed probably because I talked to Roger Nielsen. He liked the way I played and all of that style, defensive player or whatever. So he would, his style. He liked the defensive player, Roger. So I probably would have signed maybe a year or 2 year contract, which. But I ended up in Quebec, and I got in Quebec, and there was the disaster there. So I started the next year. They changed the whole group in Quebec, and they traded me to Toronto. I got traded to Toronto with Michel Petit and Aaron Broughton for a third round pick and a young player, Scott Thornton, I guess his name was. And we ended up in Quebec and Toronto.
Right.
I made a joke. I says I was in the original deal for Eric Lindros because they traded Petit, Aaron Broughton, and myself, and so they tanked the team. But actually, they made a few other trade. They got rid of a few other players after or whatever. So anyway, they finished last, and they drafted Eric Lindros.
That's right.
That's how they build that team, So they tank it. They really wanted to tank, so they tank it. Right. And then, so I went to Toronto and played a year and 2 years, about a year and a half, and we got traded again in November. And so Toronto were so anyway. But I played with Wendell Clark. Rob Ravinger was there again. Was the captain. So, great guys, and I enjoyed my years in Toronto. And at the trade deadline. The year after, in 92, spring of 92, trade deadline, they traded me for Mark Osborne in Winnipeg. And that's the year, you remember, we had a strike we went on strike for 12 days, I guess, or something like that.
That was over the trading card. Wasn't there trading card rights or something too?
The trading card right, and remember the other thing I believe was have the right of our names in the back of the jersey.
That's right, yeah.
Because we didn't have the right of our own names as a Players Association, so we ended up getting a little bit of a pension boost then.
That's right.
With the Jets, so we lost 7 games against. We were leading 3-1 against Vancouver in the playoffs. The first year of Pavel Bure, and we lost in 7 games in Vancouver. To make a long story short, I had the exit meeting with Mike Smith, and I was 7 games short of 1,000 games. So I had an understanding that I wanted to play my 7 games, and 7 or 10 games that we get the 1,003, then go at being an assistant coach, GM, assistant coach, players assistant coach in Moncton, in their farm team, to finish my career. And I agree with that. I said, yeah, but I didn't make it sign it. So he came up during the summer. He never called me. I thought I was hoping. I knew I was not a priority, but so that I was going to finish my 7 games, and go to coach in Moncton or whatever after. And ended up, he never called me back, so I never called any other team. So I ended up had to take my career away. They stole my skates, and he said that's how I retired. That's how I retired. But the guy that replaced me on the right side was not so bad, not so shabby.
Who was that?
Delaney.
Oh, wow, that's not bad. That's right. That's not bad. So
He only 475 that year. 72 of years.
did you go right into scouting as soon as you got retired?
Not right away. About a year after.
Year after. Cool.
The first year after scouting, after I retired, I did a little bit of TV for RDS here, like it's like TSN or sports and TV, and it's sports televisions, and I did a few games there, a few NHL games. And then the year after the Nordies, I got hired by the Nords as a scout, doing a little bit of pro and mostly the amateur side in Quebec. Worked 2 years for them, and then went as a coach. I went as an assistant coach with the Nords, and then I ended up going back to junior as a GM and coach in Moncton, the first year of the Moncton and the Q, which is a really successful franchise now. And then had all kind of trouble. I'm not going to go through that story, but I ended up with Doug Sotard in Kansas City as an assistant coach in the IHL for 2 years.
Yeah.
But Dougie was the GM there.
Soapy, yeah.
Yeah, Soapy, Doug Sotard. So that's basically, and then I ended up with Anaheim, the Mighty Ducks as a pro scout. I worked 5 years for them, and then I ended up with Vancouver as a pro scout for 15 years. I worked for them, a little bit of amateur scout at the end. So I had I was one of the lucky guys, if I call that lucky, that stayed in hockey after my career.
Sure. Definitely.
Not too many guys have the chance or the opportunity, because I'd like to do that. But scouting is not as easy as it looks.
Oh, a lot of traveling.
Yeah. Which is the fun with the scouting, especially in the pro, is when I did pro, is you would go to the big rink. I used to see Gresh and you and whatever, the guys in New York, and I'd go to New York many times, and then Philly, you always get to old players that you played with or you played against, and the camaraderie and the stories all come out. And
I know, right?
You go for a drink after the game, and you go to a different direction the next day, but you spend a couple hours, and you always get good memories and good time.
Well, listen, you've had a fantastic career, and like I said, I think you said this before the show even started. You're one of the guys I really, really enjoyed having you as a teammate, both as a player and as a person too. Like, you're just that great team player, so you should be very proud of the career you had.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate the comment, especially being a good guy or a good team.
Yeah, means a lot too, right?
That really means a lot to me, because it's such a good game. It's such a fun game. But what makes it so fun and interesting is the people that you meet, the people that the teammates, and the stories, the fun that we have together. And all.
I know, right? Yeah, guys,
it makes it so much fun.
Well, it's great to see you again, and thank you very much for coming on the show. You're fantastic.
Thank you very much, Tommy, and anytime. And to the Ranger fans and everything, I still the Rangers, my first team. They got drafted me. I still check all the time on the Rangers and all that.
All right.
Ranger fans are the best.
Yes, they are. All right, brother. Good to see you again.
Lucien.
Thank you.
You doing Pirates now? Is that what we're doing?
Yeah. I forgot about
you do accents now. It's Pirate.
What's Pirate's favorite letter?
R.
Except when he's out to sea. Oh God. Oh boy.
Anyway, that was a great episode with your teammate Lucien Deblois.
A few things. I forgot that he was a first round draft pick. I forgot that he played for so many teams, because he was one of those guys. He mentioned Brett Ashton during the show, and Brett Ashton was the same way, where he was a good player. Yep. But he kept going to different teams all the time. I guess that's a good sign that
players are in demand.
Yeah, if everyone wants you.
But yeah, he had a good career. He had a really good stint in Winnipeg, where he was captain. Yeah, with 34 goals 1 year. Yeah. Just a solid two-way player.
Yep.
Good guy. He talked about it in the beginning of the show, but he was picked ahead of Bossy, as was Duke. Yeah. He didn't live up to that hope, I guess. But he had a great career, almost 1,000 games.
Definitely. That is the thing about the draft, too. You look back at the history of the draft, some of the players that were later round draft picks that had fantastic careers, and other guys that were ahead of them in the draft, maybe weren't as good. But again, still not as good, but still a 15-year career.
Yeah, as he was solid like Duguay. Was the knock on Bossy, as he mentioned, was that Bossy was soft because he said he never fought, he didn't get into the rough stuff, but he had Clark Gillies. Yeah. He had Bobby Nystrom to watch over.
And I was one of the guys that tried to beat the crap out of him too, Bossy, but did stop him. I don't know how he got that reputation, because usually if somebody gets attacked like that over and over, then he backs down. He did never do that. So to get that reputation, maybe it was like that.
Well, Lemieux had the same reputation too. Yeah. Big guy, didn't want to fight, didn't want to get hit, but still,
And he changed as a player over time too, because again, I started, like, he came in '84, I think it was, Lemieux did. So I was there playing, and we used to just pit him against the boards, and he wouldn't fight back at all. Then he played the Canada Cups with Gretzky and Messier and all those guys. And then he started to become this different guy, much more competitive player, fighting back.
He also filled out a little bit too, where he was like 6'4", 220. He was a big guy.
That's very true. He was big, and he was one of the few guys that I know. I'm talking about Lucien Deblois now, but Mario Lemieux, he was one of those guys that was so big, but like usually a skilled player like that, with Gretzky was a little bit smaller, you could get him a whole lot. You couldn't do that with Lemieux. He was
pretty good. But back to Lucien Deblois, he had a great career. Went home to Montreal. Unfortunately, knocked your Rangers out.
Won the
cup.
You think about his career, right? You're drafted by the Rangers. You go to the finals, against Montreal, where he's from that area. And then also you get to go back to Montreal and win a cup there. It's pretty like amazing career, really. You think back, but maybe he wasn't as good as other people thought he was going to. But the career, the cities he played in, going to the finals,
and you could tell he was a good locker room guy, because he went back to two teams. He went back to the Jets and to the Rangers. So obviously they wanted it back. Thank you very much,
sir.
Very
good show.
Great show.
Really good.
Good.
All right, Grasshoppers, thank you for listening. We had a fantastic show. We'll see you next time.